Welcome to Hudson, Wisconsin. My name is Alan Burchill. I'm the former mayor and president of St. Croix Business Park, and I'll be your MC for today. The purpose of this meeting today is to talk about an announcement that the Governor Walker will be making. First thing I'd like to do is acknowledge some people that are in our public service. Randy Morissette is here. If you'd raise your hand, you're going to stand up. But Randy Morissette, he's a city council person. Bill Rubens with St. Croix Economic Development Corporation. Mike Johnson is our community development director for the city of Hudson. Blake Fry is the Hudson Chamber of Commerce right there. Jesse Garza's with not Shannon Zimmerman, Sean Duffy's office. I better say the right one. Pat Thompson is here from St. Croix County Administrator. Where's Pat? I saw him here. There he is. We have Roger Larson, who's chairman of the St. Croix County Board. Stan Wecken, who is the president of the council, not the council, village president of North Hudson. Is there anybody else that I've missed? Yes, congratulations. I'm glad you're here. Oh, yes, sorry, I missed you. Oh, Tom Coulter. I'm sorry, he's on the St. Croix County Board right there. Anybody else? Don't want to raise your hand, huh? Let me just briefly, because you don't want to hear from me, but how important development is. Those of us who have been in local government know how important taxes are to support our services that we offer all of our folks. And way to keep those taxes down for everybody is commercial development. And this is a key development for us. The St. Croix Business Park, right over the hill, has about 225 acres, and we have 3 lots left, or 4 lots left. So it's been a resounding success. And Wisconsin is the place to do business. So do Minnesota folks come to Wisconsin? It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today. And I told him when he just arrived that, you know, when I was mayor, he was here so often I thought maybe he was a resident of St. Croix County. And he has done a wonderful job promoting Western Wisconsin. Wisconsin doesn't end in Eau Claire or Wisconsin Dells. It comes to our border. And it's my pleasure to introduce the Governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker.
Well, thanks, and thanks for holding off the rain here today. It's a great day to be here. As was just mentioned, Wisconsin's open for business. It's great to be with the former mayor, the current mayor, Klint. It is great to be with you and exciting things that you're doing here. And to the crew back here, thanks, guys. It already looks pretty amazing. I said, coming in, aren't they doing a fabulous job? We're thrilled, and as we often come into St. Croix County, there's always amazing things happening here. It's one of the fastest growing places, not just in the state of Wisconsin, but across the Midwest. And a lot of dynamic things, obviously great housing, great schools, great venues, great local governments. And one of the few things, though, that over the last few years talking with folks was about this site. I know, in fact, actually 2 of the people who served in my administration, one, God rest her soul, Kitty Rhodes, who was the state representative for many, many years, and I was proud to have her on our team early on. And now Sheila Harsdorf, who was your longtime state senator, is our Secretary of Ag, Trade, and Consumer Protection. But I know in this area, talking back all the way 17 years ago to thinking about, with all the other amazing things happening, what could be done on this site. Because you got all this growth, you got all this excitement, you got all this new development, and then you had this site that was sitting idle. And so, Klint, thanks to having your vision here. It's pretty amazing thinking about it. I long before I was governor, actually, one of my good friends, Dan Kapanke, runs the Loggers down in La Crosse. And so you think of Northwoods baseball, it's pretty exciting baseball. It's a great venue for families. Where I'm at in Maple Bluff is just around the corner and down the road from the Madison Mallards, another fun venue like that. And you're going to have the River Hounds right here, so it's pretty exciting for families in particular, which is a lot of what the growth here is in Hudson and in St. Croix County. It's a lot of families coming over the St. Croix River, realizing that the quality of life is exceptional here in the state of Wisconsin and in the communities here on the east side of the St. Croix River. This will be one more asset not only for Northwoods baseball, but with all the other development, all the other exciting things that are part of that. But we know often when you have a site that's this large, that's this set, it's often difficult to make it all work. And so through the state with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, we have a program. We use it very sparingly. I made one other announcement today about this on the other side of the state in Grand Chute, which is over in the Appleton area. And we're pleased to be here today to publicly acknowledge our $500,000, so a $500,000 investment through the Wisconsin's Wisconsin's Economic Development Corporation, a $500,000 grant through the Idle Sites Redevelopment Grant. It's exactly for projects like this because it helps take something that otherwise is really difficult. It's difficult enough to get financing for big projects, but if you got to take something down to put something up, that often can be a barrier here. And so that's exactly what this grant is for and what this program is for. We're thrilled to be investing $500,000 into this project in this community, in this part of the state. And we know it'll be a catalyst for even more growth and opportunity in the not too distant future. So congratulations to everybody involved.
Thanks, Governor Walker. The next individual I'm going to introduce I've known for probably close to 40 years. He probably isn't going to want to admit it. He used to be our state representative when I lived on the east side of St. Paul, or North St. Paul, and he was our representative there. Kind of lost track of him, and sure enough, he shows up here in Hudson and is the 53rd mayor of Hudson. And I can say, having been the mayor of Hudson, it's about time that we got a mayor that can get something done like this. So I'd like you to introduce the mayor of Hudson, Rich O'Connor.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Governor Walker, thank you so much for being here. I can't thank you enough for what you've done to help with this development. This is something that is so exciting. We really appreciate all your effort, the efforts of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, your administration. It's been wonderful to work with and to be able to see that we have caught the attention of not just the people here locally, but the attention of the folks in Madison and throughout all of Wisconsin. That's so important to all of us, and we can't thank you enough for this grant and helping us with this development. It means a lot to getting this thing underway. So thank you again. And I got to tell you, being mayor, this is one of the things that makes being mayor very fun and very rewarding. It's not always an easy job, but these are the things that make things very, very fun, the fun part of this job. So we've been at this, I think, since, well, for 2 years. When I first got in office, the first thing I did is start to pull developers together to talk to them about doing something about this site. So we now see it come to fruition. You heard a little bit about what this means to our community. We're talking about in excess of 1,000 jobs here on this site, and these are going to be good technical jobs, good professional jobs, and this means so much for our community. I've always said I want to keep our kids staying here in Hudson when they come back from school, when they go to technical college, or when they go off to a 4-year college or a 2-year degree. We want them working here in Hudson. We don't necessarily want them having to go across the border to find a good job. This is so important to our community. It's great to have had all the work that was done on the part of Denny Darnold when he first started this project with me, and then Mike Johnson. I can't say enough about the effort that Mike put in as our new community development director. He worked very, very hard. This would not have happened but for Mike's diligence and effort to get this grant here, working with Heather at the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. So Mike, thank you so much for getting this done. Appreciate that. So I talked about the jobs. You also heard the governor talking and former mayor talking about the impact to our tax base. This is a tax increment finance district, and when this district gets closed out, this is going to have a huge impact on our tax base. I think we're talking about a minimum of $1 million to Hudson alone, probably $4 million to all of the taxing municipalities. Currently, we're getting about $25,000 off of this site. So from $25,000 to $1 million as our share in Hudson is a big impact on our economy, a big impact on our budget, and we're looking forward to this all coming online. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I want to thank all of you for being here. This is a very exciting day, and thank you for participating. We look forward to seeing this whole thing in another year or so, starting to actually see the fruition of the jobs out here. Thank you all.
Thanks, Rich. The next speaker is a gentleman I met probably about a year ago, and we had coffee a couple times. And I would say that Klint is probably a very tenacious individual. Would that be true? He has worked hard. He's tried different avenues, and the deal was put together, and he's done a wonderful job. The owner and developer, Klint Klaas.
Thank you, Alan. Good afternoon. Welcome to the St. Croix Meadows Redevelopment. Today is a great day. A lot of effort by a lot of people has gone into getting us to this point. And I would like to first start by saying thank you to the WEDC for the EIDL grant of $500,000. As you can see, this is a significant property that, again, has been sitting here for far too long. And having that $500,000 to help us start this project is significant. You can imagine the cost and the effort and the energy and the work that goes into something like this, and that grant is significant, and we are very appreciative. I would like to acknowledge and thank the Governor, Scott Walker, for being here. It's an honor to have him here, of course. He's done so many great things for the state of Wisconsin, creating jobs and opportunity, and that, of course, is what we intend on doing here. 2 years ago, as the mayor had mentioned, I walked into his office and I shared with him the vision that we had for this development. And once we came to terms and agreement on what was best for all parties involved, I expressed to him the importance of needing the full support of the city and the state, and we have gotten that. I want to thank the Mayor, Rich O'Connor, for his support and his leadership and his patience. 2 years is a long time to wait, but the dream is now coming to reality. And I also want to acknowledge and thank the City Council for their approvals and for their confidence in the project. And of course, as already mentioned, Mike Johnson for his efforts, not only up to this point, but what he will continue to do in the future as we plan out this development. A project of this size, you need great people, you need great partners, and I have many of them. I certainly cannot take the credit of the efforts that so many have done, and I'd like to acknowledge WSB Engineering, specifically Todd Hubner, Matt Swenson, and Janelle Tavagia for their efforts. Leo A. Daly Architecture, specifically Matt Johnson and Jonathan Strand and Sharif Elbanan. Prime Construction, Larry Rosh, Dan Stanley, Greg Patchkey, and Total Excavating, Chris Kusalak. These teams, these groups of people, these companies have done great work for us, and we couldn't be happier than with all of their efforts and their professionalism and their expertise. I'd also like to acknowledge our law firm that has helped us get through this process, which is Hayward, Carey, and Anderson, specifically Ryan Carey, as well as our banking partner, Royal Credit Union, Scott Jones. And there's been a few individuals throughout this process that have been by my side. I'd like to thank Brian Zeller of Greystone Real Estate, Commercial Real Estate, for all the effort and work that he has done and put in to this project. It has been significant, and he will continue to have a big part in this project. Also, Joe Plummer of Plummer Concrete, and Chris Kuslak again of Total Excavating. A few other individuals, close friends that have been by my side, Greg Kowalska and Jay Fighter, thank you for all that you have done. In the coming weeks and months, you will hear many great things and details about some of the things that we've got coming into the development. We will be signing it. We actually have signed and have purchase agreements for our major anchor tenant. And again, we'll be giving out details in the coming months as they plan on intending on closing in August. They'll be recreating and bringing in many jobs, and that'll be a great kickstart to this beautiful development. For far too long, as we've mentioned, this project is sat vacant, and now we are bringing life to it. And with the help of the grant from the WEDC, from the city, through the TIF district, and obviously for all the support that the community has given us, we look forward to the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Klint. And that's it. That's the end of the program. The speakers will stick around for questions to the media or anyone else has a question for them. So thank you for attending. On Wisconsin.
Well, great to be here in Hudson, St. Croix County. Great to be back. We're thrilled to be here today. Obviously, we've been here for a lot of things, a lot of good things happening in this region in terms of housing growth, in terms of the schools, and in terms of economic development. This really fits into all of that. And of course, while all this other development's going on, you've had this site sitting idle for nearly 2 decades, back since 2001. And so for us, we're thrilled to be able to partner with both the developers, with Klint and his team, as well as with the city of Hudson, the state of Wisconsin, through a program called the Idle Site Redevelopment Grant Program. We're able to put up $500,000 to help. And as you can see, part of it's because for projects like this, it's not just developing them. When you have a large physical asset that needs to be brought down to then clear the site and bring it up for development again, that's where this grant program is made for. And obviously this is a perfect site, but you got to have a developer that's willing to take it the next step once it's cleared. And with the Northwoods, as I mentioned, Mallards are just around the corner from where I live now. Been to plenty of the others in Wausau, La Crosse, and other sites across the state. I think it'll be an exciting venture for a lot of families, not only from Hudson and St. Croix County, but from either side of the St. Croix River, for good family entertainment. And then all the other plans they've got for entertainment, for food, beverage, for other development throughout this area. I just think it's going to be a beacon that'll draw even more people in, both from across the St. Croix from Minnesota and throughout northwestern Wisconsin. And finally, I just say, to me, one of the most exciting things about this is not just the physical asset. That in itself will be impressive, but for someone who's the father of 2 sons in their 20s, both of whom went to school in Wisconsin, graduated in Wisconsin, but both briefly worked outside of the state and are back in Wisconsin right now. As a parent, I often say my idea of the American dream is not owning a home or a business. That's nice, but it's having your parents, or as parents, it's having your children grow up, graduate, and be able to find a fulfilling career that keeps them somewhere close to home in Wisconsin. That's, I think, for a lot of us as parents, that's our ultimate dream, is to keep our kids close to home. Not in their basements, I don't know that we want them there, but close enough to home. Thankfully, both my kids work, live in apartments in Wisconsin, but close enough so I can see them. And so this is just one more thing that I think will not only attract families, but particularly millennials to stay here and those to come to Wisconsin. So with that, I'll take questions if you got it.
You know about how many of these you do a year?
Well, grant-wise, there's fairly limited. We're only doing 4 of this size like that this year. I did one other one today over in Grand Chute, which is just outside of Appleton at $500,000. But typically, they're very specific. There's other tax credits and grants, but nowhere near this size. It really is targeted towards large infrastructure-driven projects where you've got a site that has sat idle for some time, and for which, if we didn't play a role in this, it probably just doesn't happen. Because particularly like in this year, there's a lot of other green space development, limited in Hudson, but throughout the region. But for this is just really one of those things that takes something that's been, I mean, frankly, a lot of people have been an eyesore for some time, and turns it into something spectacular. And for us, it's all part of our, the overall economy in the state. We're down to 2.8% unemployment. The last several months being either tops or tied for tops in the Midwest, and one of the best in the nation in terms of the percentage of people in the workforce too. And these are the sorts of things that'll put even more people to work here. Great. Thanks, guys.
Any Wisconsin nominees on the president's list of 25?
On the 25, Judge Diane Sykes, who's on the Federal Court of Appeals out of Chicago, is from Wisconsin. She was a member of the Wisconsin Supreme Court and originally a circuit court judge in Milwaukee County. She'd be outstanding. I don't know that she's being interviewed at this point, but of course, you never know. Sometimes they have a group they're talking about and another, but she was on the original list of 25. And when she was on the state of Wisconsin Supreme Court, even though she'd be viewed more as a judicial purist, she actually was highly regarded by justices on either side of the at least judicial spectrum, because she was very collegial and people got along with her. So they're looking for an addition that would be not only a positive addition from a judicial standpoint, but who would be someone that would get along well with others. That would be a good pick with Diane Sykes.
Great.
Thanks, guys.